Fluffy struts her stuff. "Fluffy, fetch," said Perfect Peter. "Fluffy, fetch," said Perfect Peter. "Go on, Fluffy," said Perfect Peter, dangling a squeaky toy tarantula in front of the snoozing cat. "Fetch!" Fat Fluffy stretched. "What are you doing, worm?" said Horrid Henry. Peter jumped. Should he tell Henry about his brilliant idea? What if Henry copied him? That would be just like Henry. Well, let him try, thought Peter. Fluffy is my cat. "I'm training Fluffy for Scruffs," said Peter. "She's sure to win this year." Scruffs was the annual neighbourhood pet show. Last year, Henry had spent one of the most boring days of his life watching horrible dogs compete for who looked the most like their owner, or who had the waggiest tail or the fluffiest coat. Horrid Henry snorted. Which category?" said Henry. "Ugliest owner? Fattest cat?" "Most obedient," said Peter. Horrid Henry snorted again. Trust his worm-toed, nappy-faced brother to come up with such a dumb idea. Fat Fluffy was the world's most useless cat. Fluffy did nothing but eat and sleep and snore. She was so lazy that Horrid Henry was shocked every time she moved. Squeak! Perfect Peter waved the rubber tarantula in front of Fluffy's face. He knew Henry would make fun of him. Well, this time he, Peter, would have the last laugh. He would show the world what an amazing cat Fluffy was, and no one, especially Henry, could stop him. Peter knew that Fluffy had hidden greatness. After all, thought Peter, not everyone knows how clever I am. The same was true of Fluffy. "Fluffy, when I squeak this toy, you sit up and give me your paw," said Peter. "When I squeak it twice, you roll over." "You can't train a cat, Toad," said Henry. "Yes, I can," said Peter. "And don't call me Toad." What did Henry know anyway? Nothing. Peter had seen dogs herding sheep, jumping through hoops, even dancing. True, they all had been dogs. And Fluffy was a cat, but she was no ordinary cat. Horrid Henry smirked. "OK, Peter, because I'm such a nice brother, I'll show you how to train Fluffy," said Henry. "Can you really?" said Peter. "Yep," said Henry. "When I give the command, Fluffy will do exactly what I say." So far, that was more than Peter had managed. A lot more. "And it will only cost you £1, said Henry. Well, it was definitely worth £1 if it meant Fluffy could win the most obedient. Peter handed over the money. "Now watch and learn, worm," said Horrid Henry. "Fluffy, sleep." Fluffy slept. "See," said Henry. "She obeyed." Perfect Peter was outraged. "That doesn't count," said Peter. "I want my money back." "You can't have it," said Henry. "I did exactly what I said I would do." "Mom!" wailed Peter. "Henry tricked me." "Shut up, Toad," said Horrid Henry. "Mom! Henry told me to shut up!" screamed Peter. "Henry, don't be horrid," shouted Mum. Horrid Henry wasn't listening. He was an idiot. He had just had the most brilliant, spectacular idea. He could train Fluffy and play the best ever trick on Peter in the history of the world. No, the universe. That would pay Peter back for getting Henry into such big trouble over breaking Mum's camera. One day, thought Horrid Henry, he would write a famous book collecting all his best tricks and sell it for £1 million a copy. Parliament would declare a special holiday, Henry Day, to celebrate his brilliance. There would be street parties and parades in his honour. The Queen would knight him, but until then, he had work to do. Horrid Henry gave Peter back his £1 coin. Perfect Peter was amazed. Henry had never handed back money voluntarily. He looked at the coin suspiciously. Had Henry substituted a plastic pound coin like the last time? "This was just a joke," said Henry smoothly. "Of course I can train Fluffy for you." "How?" said Peter. He'd been trying for days. "That's my secret," said Henry. "But I'm so confident I can do it, it'll even give you back a money-back guarantee." A money-back guarantee? That sounded almost too good to be true. In fact... "Is it a trick?" said Peter. "No!" said Henry. "Out of the goodness of my heart, I offer to spend my valuable time training your cat. I'm insulted, just so that I won't..." "OK," said Peter. "How much?" "Yes!" thought Horrid Henry. £5, said Henry. £5? gasped Peter. "That's a bargain," said Henry. "Not everyone can train a cat. OK, £5 money-back guarantee that Fluffy will obey 4 commands in time for Scruffs. If not, you'll get your money back." How could he lose, thought Peter. Deal, he said. Yes, thought Horrid Henry. Somehow I didn't think he'd had too much trouble training Fluffy to stay, sleep, breathe, snore. No trouble at all. Perfect Peter bounced up and down with excitement. Today was the big day. Today was the day when he took Fluffy to win the most obedient pet at Scruffs. Shouldn't I practice with her? Said Peter. No, said Henry quickly. Cats are tricky. You only get one chance to make them obey, so we need to save it for the judge. Okay, Henry, said Peter. After all, Henry had given him a money-back guarantee. Greedy Graham was at the park with his enormous guinea pig, Fatty. Rude Ralph had brought his mutt, Windbag, who was competing for the waggiest tail. Sour Susan was there with her pug, Grumpy. Aerobic Owl was there with his greyhound, Speedy. Lazy Linda's rabbit, Snore, dozed on her shoulder. Even Miss Lovely had brought her Yorkie, Baby Jane. There were pets everywhere. What's your dog called, Bert? Said Henry. I dunno, said Beefy Bert. Wah! Wailed Weepy William. Mr. Socks didn't win the fluffiest kitty contest. Piddle, sit, came a familiar steely voice, like a jagged knife being dragged across a boulder. Horrid Henry gasped. There was Miss Battleaxe, walking beside the most groomed dog Henry had ever seen. The poodle was covered in ribbons and fancy collars and velvet bows. He watched as Miss Battleaxe found a quiet corner and put on some music. Miss Battleaxe danced around Piddle. She clicked her fingers. Piddle danced around Miss Battleaxe. Miss Battleaxe danced backwards, waving her arms and clicking again. Piddle danced backwards. Miss Battleaxe danced forwards, hopping. Piddle danced forwards. Double click. Miss Battleaxe danced off to the left. Piddle danced off to the right, and then they met back at the centre. Finally, Miss Battleaxe crouched, and Piddle jumped over her. Wow, said Perfect Peter, glancing at fat Fluffy snoring on the grass. Do you think we can teach Fluffy to do tricks like that? Already have, said Horrid Henry. Peter gazed at Henry, open-mouthed. Really? Said Peter. Yep, said Henry. Just squeeze the tarantula and tell Fluffy what you want her to do. Line up here for the most obedient pet, said the organiser. That's me, said Peter. All you have to remember, 1 squeak to make Fluffy sit up, 2 squeaks to make her walk on her hind legs, said Henry as they stood in the queue. 3 squeaks will make her come running to you. Okay, Henry, said Peter. Tee-hee. Revenge was sweet, thought Horrid Henry. Wouldn't Peter look an idiot trying to give orders to a cat? And naturally he'd find a way to keep Peter's £5. Peter handed in his entry ticket at the enclosure's entrance. Sorry, your brother's too young, said the man at the gate. You'll have to show the cat. Horrid Henry froze with horror. Me? Said Horrid Henry. But she's my cat, said Perfect Peter. Come along, we're about to start, said the man, shoving Henry and Fat Fluffy into the ring. Horrid Henry found himself standing in the centre. He had the only cat. Everyone was staring and pointing and laughing. Oh, where was a cloak of invisibility when you needed one? Put your pets through their paces now, shouted the judge. All the dogs started to sit, stay, come, fetch. Piddle the poodle began to dance. Fluffy lay curled in a ball at Henry's feet. Stay, said Horrid Henry as the judge walked by. Maybe he could get Fluffy to at least to sit up, or even just move a bit. Horrid Henry squeezed the tarantula toy. Squeak! Come on, Fluffy! Move! Fluffy didn't even raise her head. Squeak, squeak, squeak! Fluffy, wake up! Aerobic Owl's dog began to bark. Horrid Henry squeezed the tarantula toy again. Squeak, squeak! Piddle stood on his hind legs and danced in a circle. No, Piddle! Hissed Miss Battleaxe, gesturing wildly. Turn to the right! Fluffy, sit! Said Horrid Henry. Squeak, squeak! Babbling Bob's mutt started growling. Come on, Fluffy, thought Horrid Henry desperately, squeezing the toy in front of the dozing cat. Do something! Anything! Squeak, squeak, squeak! Piddle ran over and peed on the judge's leg. Piddle! Squawked Miss Battleaxe. No! Squeak, squeak, squeak! Sour Susan's dog Grumpy bit the dog next to him. Horrid Henry waved his arms. Come on, Fluffy, you can do it! Weepy William's dog started running in circles. Piddle! Come back! Shrieked Miss Battleaxe as Piddle ran from the ring, howling. Every other dog chased after him, barking and yelping, their owners running after them, screaming. The only animal left was Fat Fluffy. Fluffy, stay! Ordered Horrid Henry. Snore, snore, snore. The cat's the winner, said the judge. Yippee! Screamed Perfect Peter. I knew you could do it, Fluffy.